Talking points.
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 Talking points. Talking points.
Talking points.
This is Talking Points, the panel discussion program for Western Maine, devoted to topics drawn from stories which have appeared in Today River Valley, the video news feature program of the Androscoggin River Valley. I'm Phil Blampede, the producer of the program. We're coming to you from Bistro 151 in the Sudbury Inn on Main Street in Bethel, Maine. Let's meet our panelists. Lori Gilbert is the founder, editor, and publisher of Bethel Living, a magazine with in-depth articles about people, places, and events in the greater Bethel area and the western Maine mountains. Lori owns and operates Royal River Graphics in Bethel, where she creates websites and promotional and marketing materials for businesses throughout New England. Find out more at royalrivergraphics.com. Steve White, retired after 38 years operating Sunday River Inn and Cross Country Ski Center with his wife Peggy, served 34 years as a selectman in the town of Newry and 23 years as a commissioner on the Maine Land Use Regulation Commission. Steve now serves on the boards of many local, statewide, and regional nonprofit organizations, working in areas including youth, wellness, conservation, recreation, education, forest health, and community resilience. As for me, Phil Blampede, I launched the video feature show Today River Valley 4 years ago. It started on the internet and eventually got region-wide placement on WPME TV. My idea was to take the kind of community journalism found in local newspapers and translate it into a video program. Not only can you find the program on WPME TV, you can also watch it at any time at todayrivervalley.com. In this edition of Talking Points, the questions will be 1. Whether all the community fairs, festivals, and events that take place each summer render any lasting benefit to their communities, and 2. Whether the practice of insulting your opponent that's cropped up and been used successfully in the presidential race this year might work for local candidates and local governments. Then, we'll give you a palate-level idea of what Bistro 151 is all about by looking at 3 gourmet dishes the panel has sampled here in the last 6 months. We'll be right back.
Talking Points is sponsored by the Sudbury Inn. Lodging, fine dining, and a lively pub in an historic inn, right on Main Street in Bethel, Maine.
Make the Sudbury Inn your headquarters for your next trip to Bethel. Centrally located downtown, this charming 19th century inn is right in the middle of shopping, skiing, fine dining, and all other Bethel attractions. Accommodations range from a full apartment with its own fireplace to deluxe 2-room suites to single rooms. And you don't have to go far to find the best of Bethel, from fine dining in the main dining room to pub fare and live music in the popular Suds Pub to a bistro menu and bar in Bistro 151, featuring light fare with a creative flair. Chicken roulade, boneless breast of chicken stuffed with goat cheese, prosciutto, and asparagus served on a bed of spinach in a sauce poulet. Salmon and sorrel sauce, a classic French dish served in cream sauce flavored with sorrel. Blackened sea bass with a cucumber salsa. Citrus glazed veal short ribs with an Asian sauce. The Sudbury Inn is family friendly, can accommodate pets, and as the magazine Bon Appetit put it, is the perfect way to end a day in Bethel. Call today for more information.
Towns all over Maine this summer will be putting on festivals. Every town has one. But do we think that they're going to be a benefit to the town in the long run, or are they just there to entertain the folks who live there? He doesn't know.
What's that?
Where'd you end up?
I think it's a yes in some cases and no in others, because it all depends on how well it's organized. If it's badly organized, it's just a one-day thing. If it's well organized, it has lasting benefit.
Okay. Lori?
I think that most festivals are often homecoming and a chance for folks to return that have moved away, and I think it's good for the children as well as the elderly and those of us in between. I think it's a good thing.
In the July edition of Today River Valley, there's a story about how towns all over the area hold special events each year, whether it be a strawberry festival, a blueberry festival, a Main Street flea market, the Malliakat Day in Bethel, Old Home Days in Andover. Are these events of any value other than the town holding a big party for itself? Is there any lasting benefit for the community that results when events like this are held? What do you think, Steve?
I think if you live in a community that never throws a party, you think there's not much life in that community. So from the standpoint of entertaining people, it's a great idea, but I believe that it's much more than that. These, as I say, there seems to be a town, at least one festival in every town during the course of the summer, and it always seems to be an opportunity for people to come back, a big reunion. Folks who've lived here, folks who went to school here, folks who passed through here, come back on Mallioccat Day to Bethel, for instance, or Andover Old Home Days in Andover, just because they know that they'll meet people that they don't get to see throughout the year. So there's value in that. And if you bring enough people to town, they have to eat, and they have to gas up their cars, and they're likely to buy things. So I think there is an economic spike that happens as a result of that.
Gloria, what do you think?
I agree. For example, in our town, in Bethel, we have quite a few festivals. We've got Mallioccat Day, we've got the Harvest Fest, and last year we had a particularly interesting event. It was our first annual Moose Lottery Festival. We had a huge festival. It was wonderful. People came out of parts of the state and beyond that had never been to Bethel, Maine before. They came specifically for the lottery, but we had so many events that involved families, and it was very well organized. We had events for kids and lots of food and art, and there was education on wildlife. And but we did overplan. We sort of thought that every hotel was going to be booked. We thought that every restaurant was going to run out of food, and that was not the case. These folks came pretty much for the event, stayed for the day, and left. And I believe that these folks will return. We have a beautiful village and located in the mountains, and it was a great opportunity to showcase and show off our village.
I have an interesting clip from Robin Zinchuk, who is, correct me if I got the title wrong, Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce. She talks about what it takes to put on a good festival.
What is the goal of putting on this event? Getting back to the criteria that we try to meet. You know, is it that they want to raise money for a cause? Is it that they want to have publicity for the community or a certain group of sponsors? Is their idea newsworthy enough so that the media will naturally pick up? So I would make sure that they really were clear on what their goals were before they even got started. And then probably I would help them either sit down or tell them that their volunteer team, their team leaders would really need to brainstorm where the revenue was going to come from. And I could certainly make suggestions about certain revenue sources that we've been blessed to be able to rely on. And then you make sure to list all of the human needs. When people come to a festival, if you go to a festival, what kinds of things are you needing? You're going to be hungry, so you're going to want to have something to eat, whether there's food there available or food within easy distance of your event site. You're going to need to figure out shelter in case you have weather issues. You're going to have to have bathrooms for porta potties for that purpose. Who are your stakeholders? Who are going to be the people who are going to be your opponents? You're going to have to anticipate who those opponents are, or who is going to make your life difficult if you move down this path. And then think about how you can bring them on board early enough in the conversation so that they're not objecting anymore. They're part of your team. And, there are some specific steps that should go into a brand new festival. Brand new festivals are very, very hard, but you also need to start somewhere.
All right, Robin is in the remarkable position of putting these festivals on and actually making a lot of money for the Chamber of Commerce and the community in the process. That's not always the case. A lot of communities, it is just everybody puts in a lot of effort and spends a lot of money, and then it's a one-day event, and that's it. They don't necessarily benefit that much from it. And clearly, the level of skill that's put into organizing an event like this, I think, differentiates between whether there's a lasting benefit or whether it's just a one-day one-off, as they say?
Yeah, I think there's always something of a lasting benefit. You know, Wilton puts on its Blueberry Festival, and there's a potato festival up in the county, and
Yeah,
lobster
clam
festivals and
festival.
clam festivals, and each area of the state showcases itself with its product. In a lot of cases, if they don't have a product, they showcase something else, whether it's draft horses or whatever. It really is a party, and I think the lasting value is, hey, you're going to come to the festival next year? It was great this year. So there's that. But you're right. Robin has it fine-tuned and dialed in so that Bethel is able to make the money that they need to promote the town from the proceeds of the festival.
Well, the 2/3 of the operating budget of the Chamber of Commerce comes from these events rather than from membership fees. That's
Yep.
phenomenal.
Yep, it is.
It takes a huge team to pull all of it off. It's really wonderful. And this year, all of our festivals, and Bethel in particular, and I think we can be setting an example for other villages, as that we are becoming more and more sustainable. All of our trash, all of our paper products and silver, plastic food products are recyclable.
Let me throw a hand grenade into the mix. You know, something that always they used to have at these things, and they no longer have anywhere that I'm aware of, is beauty contests. Should beauty contests be brought back to the Blueberry Festival?
No.
No, why not?
Hey, we've gone past that day.
Yeah.
It's time for more equality.
We had that battle a little bit with Malliaka Day. There used to be a Malliaka princess, and she would be a young white girl who would dress up, in her moccasins and braids and feather, and the Native Americans were insulted by it. I know that's a little different, but beauty contests, that's a thing of the 50s, 60s. That's gone by. I think we think more about intelligence now than we do looks.
I hope so.
Who does that?
Talking Points. We'll be right back.
If your shoes don't feel right or your feet hurt, don't ignore the warning signs. Visit Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab in Livermore Falls, the leading provider of corrective shoes and accessories in Maine. Foot problems can lead to pain in the knee, hip, and back. At Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab, we design footwear to relieve pain or discomfort from disease, overuse, or congenital conditions. In our retail showroom, there are 4 certified pet orthotists who provide your initial foot exam at no charge. All manufacturing of your custom footwear, orthotics, and braces is done on site.
Hi, I'm Bruce McDonald, president of Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab, and I'd like to invite you to come to the most unique shoe store in Maine, where we are the foot comfort specialists.
Don't ignore that discomfort. Pine Tree Orthopedic Lab, open Monday through Friday 8 to 5, Saturday 8 to 2. Here's news from Scott's Recreation, a newly expanded inventory of RVs, from entry-level travel trailers to high-end fifth wheels. Whatever your budget, they've got it. Browse the lots and see how you can get on the road this season in home-like comfort. Scott's Recreation, with locations on Route 4 in Turner, Maine, and Route 202 in Manchester, Maine.
This is Connie Asno, and we look forward to serving you in our historical downtown Rumford restaurant.
Connie's Place, now open at 136 Congress Street, downtown Rumford on the island.
Excuse me, sir, are you getting a little shaggy around the ears but can't find time for a haircut? Well, now you can. At Lisa's Barbershop at 178 Main Street in Mexico, owner Lisa Shardlow specializes in quick haircuts. No appointment is necessary and there's rarely a wait. At Lisa's, the motto is cut and go. It's the perfect place to get the kids a quick back-to-school haircut. And when we say quick, we aren't kidding. There's a back-to-school special price of only $8 this season. And don't forget that all kids get to pick a toy from the toy box when the haircut is done. Open Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturday, 9 to noon.
Talking Points has been coming from Bistro 151 in the Sudbury Inn in Bethel, Maine this year. But when the Bistro is not hosting a television program, it's a restaurant with a menu with strong influences of French and European cuisine. In recent programs, courtesy of Sudbury Inn proprietor Allie Smith, the panel has tried dishes from the menu, giving viewers each program something of an idea of what it's like to dine at Bistro 151. Now, for a more complete view of the Bistro 151 dining experience, here's a look back at all three of the dishes at once. In March, there was Phyllo Crisp, a dish unique to Bistro 151.
We're with Allie Smith, proprietor of the Sudbury Inn in Bistro 151. Hello, Allie. How are you today?
Hello, Phil. How are you?
And Allie has brought us some delicious food and excellent wine and is going to tell us a little bit about what these are. Allie, what is this dish that we have in front of us?
This is our Phyllo Crisp. Basically, it's a little sort of a sandwich made with baked phyllo dough. And it's stuffed with goat cheese and peppers and andouille sausage and a little spinach. It's one of our best sellers. It's one of our great appetizers here. It's probably my favorite thing on the menu, actually.
It smells heavenly.
It does.
I'm very glad to hear it.
In May, there was chicken roulade.
Basically, it's a boneless chicken breast. It is flattened out. It's butterflied and flattened out, pounded down just a little bit. And then Peter stuffs it with goat cheese and prosciutto and asparagus. Rolls it all up and pan fries it, and then it's served on a bed of green spinach with a sauce poulette, which is the French word for chicken. It's a cream sauce with mushrooms, and then it's all topped off with crispy fried leeks.
Crispy leeks. I was wondering what those were.
How do you get fried leeks?
It's actually quite simple. You take your leek, and once you've actually washed all the sand out of it, you cut it into very thin strips. And then you basically just throw the strips into hot oil. They puff up, and in 5 seconds you take them out and drain them, and they are done.
Well, this is very packed with flavor. It's extremely delicious. It's really, really wowing my tongue.
As kind of a barbarian in terms of properly prepared food, gourmet food, if you want to call it that, the only thing that I can use to judge when something is really elegantly done is that there are a variety of flavors. It's not though you put something in your mouth and you just get hit with, cheeseburger flavor and then that's it. But it's a series of flavors that unfolds, and that's what I'm finding with this. You have so many ingredients in this that it.
The clever thing here, and Peter's very good at doing this, it's nice to have lots of different flavours, but they've all got to work well together.
That's right.
This is a good example of they do just mesh and give you a whole which is more than the sum of its parts.
And the cream sauce is nice. Is this always on the menu?
The chicken roulade, yes, it's been on the menu all winter. It was not on the menu last summer, but I think we're going to keep it on because it's just such a lovely, fresh tasting thing.
In July, there was a French classic, salmon with sorrel in cream sauce.
Today we're with Allie Smith, the proprietor of Bistro 151 in the Sudbury Inn, and Allie has served us a sumptuous repast once again. This is a salmon dish. Could you describe it a little bit for us, Allie?
What we have here, it is a pan-fried salmon with a sorrel and cream sauce. It's a very famous recipe. It dates from the 1980s at the restaurant called Trois Gros, which is in southeast France. Let's see, it's a restaurant that's very close to my heart, having been there a number of times.
Can we try it?
Yes, you can.
It smells wonderful, Allie.
I should also give a shout out. This particular version of the recipe comes from Pierre Frenet, who some of you may remember from the PBS series back in the 90s and zeros. So it's his recipe of that particular classic.
Now the seasoning on this is sorrel?
Yes. Sorrel is a herb which is very popular in France. It looks a little like spinach when you pull it out of the packet. It's got a taste, a slightly strange taste. It's a very vegetable taste. It tastes a little bit like rhubarb, which is...
I think it tastes a little lemony.
Yep, it's quite tart and astringent, but by the time you actually put it in with the cream and the richness of the salmon, I think it's an absolute genius dish.
This really does bring the richness of the salmon out. It has that crisp quality. I don't know if I'm describing it in an uneducated way, but it reminds me of a really well done swordfish or a really well done bluefish.
Yep.
And often salmon doesn't have that quality.
It's lovely with the cream sauce.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm giving you another cream sauce. I do apologise.
I think we're okay with it.
The name of the dish, it is salmon in sorrel sauce. It's in French, that's salmon à l'oiselle. The reason why this dish is very special to my heart is because it was originated in a restaurant called Trois Gros, which is in the French industrial town of Roanne, which is near Lyon. It's in southeast France. These people, they've actually had 3 Michelin stars, which is the creme de la creme, for 34 years now without break. This was one of the original dishes of the Nouvelle Cuisine movement before it became tiny things on big plates. So basically it's a grilled salmon. It comes with a sauce which is flavoured with sorrel. The dish was so famous, in fact, that the good people of the town of Roanne, because it brought such fame to their community, they actually painted the railway station, which is right across the square from the restaurant. It's now painted in green and pink to commemorate this very dish.
Talking points. We'll be right back.
Looking for a convenient and inexpensive place to stay in Western Maine? Visit the Paris Inn Motel, located conveniently on Route 26 in South Paris, a short drive from the Oxford Casino and the attractions of the Bethel area. Newly renovated rooms, open year-round.
Hi, I'm Roger Whitehouse, owner and designated broker of Riverside Realty, located at 152 River Road in Mexico, Maine. We have some of the most pristine ponds in the Western Mountains of Maine. Worthley Pond, Webb Lake, South Arm, Ellis Pond, some of the best fishing and swimming, ice fishing, snowmobiling, you name it, we've got it all right here in the Western Mountains, Maine. For instance, look at this.
This is MLS 1153636, a 4-bedroom vacation home on Worthley Pond in Peru with 3/4 of an acre and 159 feet of waterfront, listed at $279,000. A budget-conscious alternative is MLS 1271981, a 1-bedroom cottage also on Worthley Pond in Peru with 62 feet of water frontage, a sandy beach, a stone terraced patio and exterior fireplace for only $120,000.
My staff of 6 has over a combined work history of over 100 years. We're here to serve you. Whether you're considering buying or selling real estate, call Riverside Realty at 369-0100. Hope to see you soon.
Picture the name and logo of your business or organization on an attractive polo shirt, windbreaker, cap, or t-shirt. Then come by Perfect Stitch on Route 26 in South Paris, where you can turn that vision into a reality. Perfect Stitch is the place to go in Western Maine for embroidery, screen printing, and promotional items. With full-scale production right on site, Perfect Stitch can fill any order from a single shirt to dozens of them. Offering advertising and promotional items as well, Perfect Stitch is the one-stop shop for all your promotional needs.
I'm Amy Ford. I own and operate Perfect Stitch Embroidery. Come on in and see the wide variety of products we offer at our showroom at 191 Park Street in South Paris. We can help you figure out what products would fit your needs best. Hope to see you soon.
Talking Points is sponsored by the Sudbury Inn. Lodging, fine dining and a lively pub in an historic inn, right on Main Street in Bethel, Maine.
During this presidential election, the tactic of insulting your opponent seems to have worked extremely well for some candidates. Could that kind of a tactic work too in local elections in small towns? What do you think?
No.
You both say no, huh?
We do.
Lori, why?
I think we spend a lot of time raising our children and our families to behave politely and have respect for one another. And the dirty political tactics we've been watching in this season's election are offending me.
Steve?
I agree. I think that in small towns you can't have this kind of divisiveness and survive. We have, and I'm not sure that the country can. So I don't think it would work here.
All right. During this year's presidential election, it's proved to be an effective tactic for politicians to insult their opponents. Voters, for some reason, are responding to an insulting approach. This is, if Don Rickles were young enough and wanted to run for something, he'd probably be very successful this year. My question is, can this insulting technique work in local elections? Will we start to see select board races where people are calling each other, you know, big ears and fatso and all of that? And will it work? No, you don't think it'll work? Well, why not?
In your living room on your television is one thing. You don't know these people personally. You're not affected as dramatically. It's heartbreaking enough to watch every evening on your TV. Heartbreaking enough that I turn my television off often with this crazy stuff. But I think in small towns, especially in Maine, this would not fly. This behavior is unacceptable.
What do you think?
Well, I think Lori's right. I think we have to meet these people at the post office and see them at the hardware store. And you know, we're a close-knit community, and I don't think that kind of behavior would work. I think you'd be isolated. I would hope so, anyway. If the whole community took on this notion of insult, I would probably not want to be here.
Well, I think there's an example of how it did work in a local election recently. The mayoral election in Lewiston featured the incumbent, Mr. McDonald, who's a really nice guy, but one of his opponents, one of his supporters, decided to launch a racist attack on his opponent, Ben Chin. And lo and behold, Mr. McDonald was reelected. Do you think that possibly channeled the nasty qualities of many voters and said, "This is our candidate. We want to express our support for this kind of thing"?
Yeah, it could have. I was very sorry to see that happen, but again, the whole country is angst-filled right now, and I lay a lot of it to the campaign. I think that the kind of behavior we're seeing on our televisions is being played out whether we like it or not, you know, in families and in other situations. I think it's totally wrong, and I hope that...
Well, that's a typical stupid thing for you to say.
Yeah, right.
Guys.
Well, I think that there are a lot of people who have very angry sentiments, and insult channels these sentiments very effectively. It crystallizes them. And so it's a way of tapping into this energy in the electorate and turning it into voter support.
Yeah, we talk about morality, we talk about various and sundry religious practices, and then we go out and scream at each other, you know, in other cases. I think we're not listening to ourselves when we do that.
If you were to advise a local candidate what kind of insult might work against another local candidate, what would you say?
I would say that insulting another candidate, I'd say take the higher road.
You say that guy from away. That's the penultimate insult in Maine, right?
It is right now. Your mother wears army boots. You know,
yeah,
that was the
and
one
rides a vacuum cleaner.
Well, I think one of the things that the insulting approach does is it's a very high energy form of communication. And if you pump too much energy into the political process, people get exhausted at some point. So I think insult works in the short term, but eventually all your supporters get exhausted, and everybody gets exhausted and disgusted, and you fail in the long run. You will fail.
I agree. I think you sling a few insults right off the bat in the beginning, you get a lot of attention, but you continue that bad behavior, and you're going to lose your support.
We shall see.
Well, you were, Steve, you were on the select board in Nuri. I'm pronouncing it correctly, Nuri.
Nuri, that's right.
Did you ever have a situation where somebody stood up in a meeting and called you a fathead or something like that?
Oh, it happens all the time. Yeah, sure.
So it is going on.
Well, to a limited extent. It's generally somebody that just, you know, they have a side they're pushing, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you go away from a meeting where you lost an argument and you say the other guy's a fathead. Yeah. But it doesn't carry on.
That's it for the August edition of Talking Points. Be sure to watch our companion program, Today River Valley, on WPME TV or at www.todayrivervalley.com. This is Phil Blampy, producer of the programs, and along with panelists Lori Gilbert and Steve White, here's wishing you an enjoyable last few weeks of summer. We'll see you in September.